Sure. That's all right. Oh, I was gonna also. All right, perfect. Time is 7:05 PM. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Mayor and Town Council to order for Tuesday, June 23rd. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please have a roll call, Susan.
Here. Here.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilor Nieves.
Here.
Councilor Flores.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Rada.
Here.
Here. Here. All right, we have a quorum. Next is approval of the agenda. If anybody has any changes to the agenda, if not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Floyd, second by Deputy Mayor Rada. Any discussion on approving the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? All right, agenda is approved. Motion carries unanimously. All righty. We got some fun presentations and proclamations on tap for tonight. First, we are going to acknowledge someone we are losing, unfortunately, but we're really happy for her anyway. We're going to do that. So I will read the proclamation. Whereas we take pride and pleasure in joining family members and friends, along with members of the community, in congratulating Lisa Rydecke on her deserved retirement after 18 years of service to the town of Newington. And whereas Lisa Rydecke was appointed as the Deputy Director of Finance on January 14th, 2008, and whereas Lisa is well known for providing exceptional expertise in leadership in the administration of municipal finances, and whereas she has played a critical role in the town's annual audit process, ensuring accuracy to help the town obtain the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and whereas every year Lisa contributes to the development and management of the town's budget process, and she has provided sound financial planning and decision-making for the benefit of residents and taxpayers of Newington. And whereas she has expertly managed the town's munis payroll system, for which she was responsible for implementation, maintenance, and training. And whereas she tracked and administered grants to help the town maximize funding opportunities while supporting important projects. And whereas beyond her professional accomplishments, Lisa became a familiar and inspiring presence around the town hall, often beginning her mornings by walking the halls and grounds, bringing energy and positivity to everyone around her. And whereas Lisa Rydecke will retire from service to the town of Newington on June 30th, 2026. And now therefore be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby recognizes and extends its sincere appreciation to Lisa Rydecke for her professional service and dedication to the town, and wishes her the best in her retirement. Dated in Newington, Connecticut, this 23rd day of June, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion by Councilor Plord. Any council discussion? Councilor Draco.
Hey, Lisa, first of all, congratulations on well-deserved retirement. All we can do is thank you for your many, many years of fiscal stewardship. You had expertise, wisdom, and a real steady hand in guiding our towns through the budget process, but all the other associated processes that go along with keeping the town's finances secure and stable. You had a lasting positive impact on our community, and wishing you a fulfilling and joyful retirement.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Plord.
Thank you, Mayor. Lisa, we're going to be so sad to miss you, but so thrilled on your retirement that I hope will be peaceful and enjoyable. The role that you play in this building, first of all, your role on paper is among the most important for the trust and accountability that folks expect out of government. You are there providing that service to folks in an equitable, professional way, and folks have the trust and confidence in you because they've seen the work that you've done over 18 some odd years in this building. And you've built that reputation of being a good steward, and having folks like you in this building helps everybody, including all of us, have a lot of trust in the process as residents. But you've also done a lot more than that, going beyond your role and supporting your colleagues, being there for them. I've heard some stories about the way that you've shown up for your colleagues. It's pretty amazing. I would love to have a coworker like you who's always there for me. So you are going to be missed deeply in this town. I know by your colleagues, many of whom are here. You're going to be missed by us. We're always here to be a friendly face, to be supportive and be helpful. And we just wish you many blessings in your retirement, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Lisa, we're really, really sad to see you go, but again, really, really happy for you to have your retirement. The thing that stuck out to me here, and I can attest to, is every time I see you in the building, you're always smiling, you're always pleasant, and that means a lot. I mean, it's particularly in a workplace, having that kind of an effect on people is tremendous and helps people get through their day and helps people feel good about going to work. So that's, kind of one of those unsung things that doesn't get talked about a lot, but you do it, and it's going to be missed for sure. We wish you all the best in your retirement, and on behalf of the town, we thank you for all of your years of dedicated service to this town. You've been working here as long as I've lived here, so we're connected in that. So grateful for everything that you've done. So thank you so much for your time here in Newington, and all the best in the future. All right, we had a motion and it was seconded by Councilor Plord. Any further discussion from council? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries 7-0. Councilor DeHaas absent, Deputy Mayor Rada absent. Congratulations. Yeah, come back. Yeah, take a picture. Enjoyed this. Come on.
I'm gonna sit down. No, I just want to say thank you. We're gonna miss the people and looking forward to relaxing and not having.
I bet.
Good luck.
Anybody else in the room would like to come up and say some words about Lisa? We'll open the floor.
I'll just say a couple words.
Sure.
I enjoyed getting to know Lisa. I think the last whereas clause in that proclamation is how I'll remember Lisa forever. Lisa, the last 2 years, we've done these step challenges just as a fitness sort of goal. And Lisa smokes all of us. I mean, it's just amazing. Like the numbers, it's like, 36,000 steps a day. And her secret was that she gets to work really early and just walks around. And so, as somebody who's trying to, promote, health and wellness at work, Lisa is kind of the role model for that. So I'll never forget that about her. It was a really, really neat a feature of her personality. So thank you, Lisa.
You do have one person online who would like to speak. Go right ahead, Ms. Lyons.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I've already written to Lisa and wished her well in her retirement. I just wanted to publicly thank her for all the help she's given me over the years, beginning with learning about the CIP budget. That was quite an undertaking, and whenever I had a question, I would ask Lisa, and she always had the answers for me. That and the housing rehab, I don't know who I'm going to go to now, Lisa. You're going to have to give me the new person's name. So I just want to wish you well again, and thank you for all the help you've been over the years. I've been retired as long as you've been working, so I hope you get as many years as I've had. Thank you so much for all you do for me and for all the others in the community.
Thank you, Rob. All righty. Congratulations, Lisa. Thank you so much. All righty. Moving right along, we have another proclamation, a big birthday to celebrate for our lovely Newington Community Television. Proclamation. Whereas we take pride and pleasure in recognizing the 40th anniversary of Newington Community Television, NCTV, a nonprofit corporation operated with the help of local volunteers. And whereas NCTV was established in 1986 by Everett Weaver Edward Pizzella, and former Mayor Joseph P. Doyle to provide community access for residents of Newington. And whereas, through the dedication of volunteers, NCTV grew from its original studio and became a trusted source of local programming, broadcasting government meetings and public service announcements. And whereas, over the past 4 decades, NCTV has evolved and expanded its services through online streaming, making it accessible to all. And whereas NCTV has remained committed to serving the community and has maintained a strong presence in Newington by covering and promoting local events, including the Recreation Department, Memorial Day Ceremony, Veteran Day Ceremony, and numerous activities at the Senior and Disabled Center. And whereas we appreciate the members, volunteers, and supporters whose efforts have strengthened community connections and preserved Newington's local history. And now therefore be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby recognizes and extends its sincere appreciation to Newington Community Television and celebrates this 40-year milestone dated in Newington, Connecticut, this 23rd day of June, 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from council? Councilor Bedrejko.
Okay, all of you out there and those who aren't out there, for NCTV, congratulations on 40 years of outstanding local broadcasting. I want to thank you for being nonpartisan. Thank you for being a trusted voice of Newington, capturing our history, all of our local events, our parades, our town meetings, and all news that's important to our town of Newington. And what's also important is that you provide a way for local residents to become involved either in front of the camera or behind the camera and experience opportunities that are provided through creative media. You do this voluntarily. You all spend an awful lot of time in whatever capacity you serve on NCTV. And I'm wishing you a minimum of 40 years more success. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. I see so many folks here from NCTV. You are an institution in this community. You are one of those institutions that is so longstanding and has done such a good job providing a service to the public that people think you get paid for the work that you do. There are a few institutions like that in town, but there are plenty of folks who don't understand that the folks at NCTV are volunteer, who are taking immense hours of time out of their schedule sometimes throughout the week to produce a product that the residents of Newington can enjoy for free, right? And I want to thank you for providing that stable service to this community for 40 some odd years. I also wish you 40 some odd years more of success. And I know, like every other organization, you go through phases, right? That you're in a phase now, and I want you to continue to do more. This council wants you to continue to do more and to do better and to do good things on behalf of our community that are in line with that mission that was set in stone 40 years ago. So we're grateful for the work that you do. Happy 40th birthday, and we're always here to be supportive. Thank you.
Counselor. John, you heard you got to do this another 40 years now.
That's right.
You're on the hook. You, just you. You do. Fair. Never mind. I would ask though, folks in the room, if you're an NCTV volunteer, can you raise your hand so we can just all see who you are?
Excellent.
Personally, I have a really, really soft spot for volunteers and people who put in their time and effort for some cause that's not necessarily their own. And this is something that this is it. And I have great admiration for all the people involved. I'm a regular on NCTV. We do this once a month and I see the work that goes into that. And I know the work that goes into every single thing that you do. And you're all volunteers. And that's the most inspiring thing. Who gives your time is incredibly valued. So we're grateful for you guys and all that you do. And congratulations on 40 years, another 40 years to go. Congratulations. So we had a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this from council? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries 8-0. Councilor DeHaas absent. Congratulations. Come on up, John. Got to take a picture.
My fish on TV. Have my go, okay?
Get on out there.
Oh, thank you guys, for the recognition. 40 years is a long time. I haven't been doing it 40 years. I did know Ev and Ed. One of my favorite quotes from Ed was, "Nobody will ever watch TV on the internet." And so we have that in our office.
John, can you sit at the microphone? Rose is gonna get upset if she can't hear you.
And I don't want to upset.
Come on. Thank you.
You're good.
All right, so, as you guys have mentioned, a lot has changed from the days of only having 8 videotapes that you could run and you have to come in every day and change them, to now we have all electronic, we're online. But the big thing with a volunteer organization is we always need more volunteers. There's probably 10 of us as core volunteers that get everything you see done. So, once again, thank you. Sorry, Rose, if you didn't hear me before, call me, I'll repeat myself. But thank you. And if you're here 40 years from now, I'll be here 40 years.
Come on up. Yeah, we're gonna open up the floor. Anyone who'd like to speak, please come on up.
I promise I won't stay longer than I normally do.
You're always welcome to your stay.
I gotta thank, we've had so many different mayors that have hung out with me on Monday for more years than I can count, more decades than I can count. But I think what's important to keep in mind, I can't even fathom the thousands upon thousands of hundreds of thousands of hours in the last 40 years of some very, very creative, very dedicated people that have been at Channel 14, Channel 32, Channel 14, Channel, what do we got, John? 15, 16, we got a lot of channels. But it's always been an amazing group of people that have turned out there through everything. And it's tough enough to sit through one of these meetings. And I look at the amount of men and women that come here and they can just be on a camera and sit there and do this and the amount of work involved. But when you go back to the very beginning, where you talk about, Ed Pizzella and Ev Weaver, Bob Anderson, Bob couldn't make it here tonight, but Bob has been with us since the very, very beginning, and his wife Bernice. We've done more talent shows, Miss Newingtons. We've done parades. We've done endless things. And the thing is, in today's world, it's getting harder and harder to get people to help out. It's getting harder and harder to get volunteers. In today's world, everybody's got their own television. Everybody's got their own phone. It's movies. It's everything. To even get kids really pumped up to get involved anymore, they're just happy to make something on their phone and put it up on YouTube. We have professional equipment. We have people that can train everybody how to use the stuff. And that's the difference. I mean, you're seeing people that, kids used to wait in line to come down. They wanted to do their own shows on Channel 14. They wanted to do everything. Now you can't get that. But we do have still a great group of kids that do come in, seniors that come in, and people that are still stay committed to it. So I've been involved, of course, because if there's a camera, I got to go. Whoever has it, I'm going to run to it. But I don't do the hard stuff. The heavy lifting is really done by the people you never, ever, ever get to see. And I want to thank the town for all their support in the past. We've been through some pretty lean times together. But I mean, when you go all the way back, I remember one woman that was very instrumental was Claire Lear Brown. You've all heard the name Norman Lear. Well, Claire Lear Brown was Norman's sister. And Claire was an amazing, dedicated person committed to this TV station. She treated it just the same way with the respect that her brother Norman always had for television. And I read Norman's book, and at the end of his book, he gave Claire special kudos for doing as much in her world as he did in his. So these are some people that really, really go back a long, long ways. I know Gary Byron, who's a great part of us for so long. Gary and I would try to, push each other around the camera. But it's guys that have stayed committed. Dave Overson, who's unfortunately couldn't be here, but he's been in television, radio, ESPN, he's done it all. He still helps us out. So we're very, very blessed. And really what's very important is the support we've always gotten from the town. And we know the dollars have been tight. You've always found a way to help us keep the lights on at our place and keep coming through for hopefully the best equipment that we're able to get. And we're going to continue to give us the best of our time that we can. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Appreciate it.
Can you give your name and
Oh,
address?
you just state your name in the record. Yeah,
Oh, my
Name and address for the
we know,
camera.
yeah.
Oh, my name, I know.
Yeah.
Steve Parker,
There you go.
Indian Hill Road, Newington.
There you go. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. We do have one online who would like to speak.
You made her mad.
Go right ahead, Miss Lyons.
Whoever asked John to speak into the microphone, thank you very much. I'm not done with him, but I should be. He should know better. I just want to say thank you to all the volunteers at NCTV who over the years have been very accommodating to me, back to the days when I couldn't record the shows and the meetings that were being held. They were making tapes for me or CDs, and I still have a collection of them here if anybody wants to hear anything that Jeff Wright had to say about the revitalization of Newington Center. In any case, there's a lot of things that I'm thankful for them being there, most of all for allowing me to sit home and watch from my living room. Before this, I used to be able to go into their studio across the hall from L101 and sit in the couch and watch the TV in there and say what I had to say, talk underneath my breath so nobody would hear in the council chambers. But I do want to thank all of you for everything you've done for me and for the town of Newington. So appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rose. Anybody else? Congratulations, NCTV on 40 years. Well done. Right. Let's cheers. I'm just kidding. Very good. All righty, moving along. Next, we have a really cool presentation from Monique Mashad about our new crime and safety portal that she's built. And happy to have you, Monique. Thanks for being here.
Sorry, technical difficulty.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'd selfie. Okay, sorry about that. Oh,
Just make sure you're muted.
okay. For being in IT, I really should know better.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay. So I am super excited to be here tonight to show you all something brand new to Newington that officially launched a couple weeks ago, and that is Newington's very own crime and safety portal. So this originally started as kind of an idea to take the data that we already have in the police department that is not the most easily visualized at the moment and turn it into something for officers to enhance day-to-day use, things like crime reporting and analysis. And during the initial brainstorming meeting, Chief Perry actually had the idea that it would be really cool to create some type of public-facing portal as well in order to give full transparency and access to some of this information to residents, just to be able to see what's going on in and around town. So thus, the crime and safety portal was developed. So what I'll do is I'll briefly go over an overview of each of these 4 public pages. This is the homepage that you're looking at here, and then I'll just pop into each one very quickly just to give a little demo on some of the tools that are available. But as always, I encourage anyone listening to pop around and explore it yourself at home. One disclaimer I do want to give is the first time that you are on the site, so this is the homepage, you'll get this little splash screen that says desktop viewing required. Because of the vast amount of data, which you'll quickly realize as we go into these pages, it's not really optimized or really at all possible to view on a mobile device. Therefore, it's really encouraged to be able to view it on a laptop or desktop if possible. And going along with that, I do just want to note, in order to see the view that I'm showing you guys here tonight, it is best if your browser zoom, so this setting right here, is at 100%, as well as your scale resolution. So which is going to be under display right here. Oftentimes computers will default into a much more zoomed in version, but because of ADA accessibility, it's unfortunately not possible to tailor the experience to each and every screen size. So that's good there. So as I mentioned, the goal for this was to kind of have this centralized hub platform pulling data from all these different sources to be easily accessible for residents to access in one place. So with that being said, calls for service and traffic stops, this is being pulled nightly straight from our dispatch system. So any call that's coming into dispatch is immediately being routed daily, every 24 hours into these different pages. The motor vehicle crashes, this is coming from the CT crash data repository, which is the same information. It just includes a lot more attribute data, which you'll also see in a second. And this is also updated nightly, but I will just note that crashes are not updated on here until the report is processed, which typically happens around a month to 2 months after the crash happens. So for example, right now on the page, we'll see crashes from around mid-May. And then finally, the speed limit lookup. This is a useful tool for officers, but could perhaps be useful for residents too, to poke around town and view different speed limit information in this cool map interface. So jumping right in, also one more disclaimer, all private and sensitive call types and information obviously has been redacted for privacy reasons, so no worries there either. So jumping into the calls for service page, I would say this is the main hub page. This again is all of those dispatch calls, so give it 1 second to load. So as you can see, a lot of data here, a lot of widgets, a lot of stuff going on, anything from charts to graphs to tables to a main map. Working our way left to right, we can see the live call counter here when it was last updated, some helpful instructions. All charts and all widgets are completely interactive. So for example, the ones that are displaying call type here, whether it be percentage, by number or street, you can easily click and query to view the exact data that you're wanting. Down here, we have the police call log. So this is that kind of live police blotter esque where they're sorted by the received date and time. So kind of a live count. And even this is interactive where you can click on one and it'll zoom. So this main map here is initially populated by hotspot. So we can kind of see those busy areas where all the calls are coming in. But if you wanted, you could go up to the layers tab up here and easily query the individual points if you wanted more of an in-depth view. Each one of the points being clickable, where you can then see the in-depth information, whether it's the officer reporting, the call information, date, time, etc. Again, under those map layers, we have some helpful reference layers as well, such as patrol zones, day districts, etc. So a lot to play around with. Moving along to the right panel, we then have our data analysis graphs, I'll call them, starting with different times. So you can look at trends as broad as the year down to the hour of the day. We also have the areas. So Newington divides by patrol areas, day districts, and night districts, those same layers that I just showed you. So For reference, you can even go in and toggle that on to compare how calls are stacking up against different districts. And so another cool feature of this is that everything is able to be filtered. So if you're looking for a specific date, maybe you could filter that, even by call type as well. If I was looking for something specific, it will filter everything in the actual site, including the points themselves. So really any question or any query that you're looking for, you can hopefully find an answer with this. And last thing I'll end on for this page is all of this data is able to be downloaded in an Excel format using these 3 dots here. So even if you wanted to branch beyond this, you can use the data in different ways. So it's the first page there.
And just one clarification, if you go back to that search on the left, that search where you could search, you can search by address too, correct?
Yep, you can search
Yeah.
by street.
By street, okay, yeah.
Street, yes. The map allows you to search by address if you're looking for a specific neighborhood or property, but everything is searchable. So then motor vehicle crashes, again, this is coming from the CT crash data repository. Pretty much each and every type of crash situation you could picture is on here, anything from age groups to vehicles involved. These are just different filtered pages that are copies of the main page that I'll show you in case you want more of a fine-tooth view of it. So here is the initial crash page. Let me make sure that this is reset here. So you can see the last crash was May 19th, which was probably the most recent report, but very similar concept here. Once all of the data loads, we have the main map, the table, the live counters here to the left, and while that loads, up here in the top right, there are detailed instructions in case you want to follow along at home on how to navigate these pages. It'll break it down by fatalities and serious injuries. Same crash log here. Able to also symbolize points as well, similar to the last one. And the same data analysis where it's time of day, but we also have weather conditions, light conditions, surface conditions, all able to be toggled on and off. So this makes it super helpful to be able to see trends, maybe where there's problem areas in town, et cetera. And then again, crash severity by manner of collision. So these are the instructions if you go into there, and I'll just pop in to another example. So for ones like ATVs where we don't have this all too common in town, instead of having a heat map because there's not enough points, they'll just be symbolized by a simple little firefly point that you see right here. So a lot of data to explore here as far as crashes go. Moving right along to the traffic stops. As I said, this is still those same dispatch calls coming into Newington, but this is just the traffic stops alone. So the reason why I wanted to kind of piece these out is one, it is the #1 call type that obviously comes through, but also there's a lot of attribute information that goes along with this. So every single traffic stop, they're mandated to record things like demographics, stop outcome, whether the vehicle was searched. So this is the static data that's included in the right. Same concept with the map and the plotter and the filters. But now we have these extra information about all of the traffic stops in Newington taken from the CT traffic stop data repository. So this goes till 2024. Hopefully we'll have 2025 data soon, but this gives a really good breakdown of the different demographics of the actual traffic stops in Newington. So anything from race to ethnicity, age, male versus female. And then in this one to the right for the reason to stop, same exact thing where it breaks it down a little bit more as to why they were stopped. And then it compounds that variable of year, race, and sex on top of that too. So you could spend a lot of time going through here, clicking each one of these things, going through and exploring all of the data for Newington. And then finally, last page is the speed limit lookup. This has been useful for the officers as an easy tool to be able to look this up, but I will. So basically how it works is it's a simple map interface. You see all of the streets in Newington. Simply click on a street, and it'll tell you the speed limit. If there was an OSTA number for certifying that speed limit, it's included here. There's also the town speed limit report by DOT in case you want to get into the very nitty gritty of it, and even Google Street View of each street that is configured for those. So that is the gist of the crime and safety portal. I'm super excited for residents to be able to use this. And as I mentioned, I encourage everybody to spend some time looking through all of this. There's a lot of information and a lot of cool trends and analysis that we can do with this to hopefully increase transparency in the town. So thank you for your time.
And I would just, before I turn over questions, I would just point out my understanding, if I can humble brag for Monique, is that we are getting calls, or MPD is getting calls from other towns throughout the state saying, how do we do this in our town? So I think that's a testament to what the work Monique's doing, sort of really taking the lead kind of statewide in some of this really cool GIS work that she's doing. So pretty cool.
I think you deserve a round of applause.
We'll open it up for comments, for questions from council. Councilor Tiniakis.
I don't have any questions. You've created something that's incredibly easy to understand and use. So I just thank you. I think this is awesome. The fact that you made this is just like kind of mind boggling to me. I definitely can see members of the town using this and posting things online and really interacting with this, and like this is going to be useful for a lot of people. So thank you. This is really cool.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Councilor. Councilor Capella.
Yes, this is truly amazing. It's a lot of information to look at, and I can see someone spending a lot of hours looking at it. I just had a question. I didn't see any information as far as names or details. Are there safeguards put in place for any victims or any names that shouldn't be out there?
Yes, of course. So as I mentioned, all private and sensitive information has been redacted, so no names. Most of it's premise information even, so you can zoom into the map to find an address, but all sensitive information surrounding each call is redacted. So really it's just the call type, where it happened and when it happened. Additionally, sensitive call types, things like domestic assault, sexual assaults, those are all not included in this. So everything is protected and was ran by the police department, and it's been okay.
Great.
So that's a good point though.
One more question. How long will the information be held on here? Like how far back will it go?
So right now it goes to, there's a couple from 2022. Right now it goes till January 1st, 2023 to present. And it's just gonna stay at that time marker due daily, but that can always change depending on different feedback.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Sounds
Great.
Councilor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Monique, this is extraordinary. I think when you were here last, I told you I had, you were presenting a different portal, and I had spent many hours before that meeting exploring that portal. I spent many hours exploring this portal this weekend. And it's an amazing tool. One thing I just want to like shout out, you are an amazing talent that we are so grateful to have in this town, but also these kinds of collaborations are possible because we have a police department that is able to devote the time and resources to this kind of communication. And so I'm so grateful that you were able to connect with them to do something like this. And I was already reviewing some of the problem areas on pedestrian accidents, cross-checking that with the intersections, cross-checking that with the speed limits. There's some really, really cool stuff that we can do here. And not just for the public's edification, but this leads me to my first question, which is with this tool now in our possession, are you finding, and I guess this may be a question for Jonathan too, are departments starting to integrate this tool more explicitly itself rather than just kind of collating data in different ways?
Yeah, no, I'll just say this. I mean, I haven't referenced it, but I get calls all the time that usually I just refer to Lieutenant Dean or LTA, but about, hey, there's speeding on my street, or there's all these accidents. And so this is a great way of saying, well, let's look at the data so that you can have that kind of two-way conversation and drill down before you get to that next level of MPD doing the real like traffic analysis. So for me, this is a kind of a godsend, because when somebody says, oh, there's all these accidents on my street, I don't really know, how to respond to that without having a tool like this at fingertips.
That's excellent. And you mentioned earlier, Monique, when you were first starting, just about how the initial conversation here that got this going was about an internal system for PD around reporting. Did that system also get developed? Is that something that's still happening as well?
Yes, so that, it almost looks identical to this with the
Okay.
exception that there's a couple more pages on it that are sensitive. So an example, of the one that's in the internal platform that has like a login and is more secure is, for example, dog licenses. So when a police officer is going to a house, they can look up easily to see if there's a dog on the premise for them to be prepared coming in. So different things like that, that can't be public information, but yes, it is created and it is being used. And again, that version also has the private and sensitive call types not redacted so that they can see it. But just going off of that one question, as I mentioned in the beginning, the initial data, my understanding of what Dean had said is that it's really just a spreadsheet in a system that needed to be exported. So fortunately, there's not much you can do with that when you have these questions. So this will save time by a landslide and have them be able to easily go in and query different stuff when questions like that come up. If there's grant reporting, just different metrics that are needed.
And completely transparent because we're all seeing the same data. That's amazing. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Monique.
Thank
Really.
you.
And congratulations.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Gonzalez.
This really is incredible. Am I correct that you are the one that came up with this? This is you?
Yes, technically, yes.
I mean, we are the only town that has this?
It is my understanding, yes, something like this, yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Nieves.
Yes, I did all the comments already made. I think it's an asset to the town of Newington to have this kind of information at their fingertips readily available. And I think it's something that's really going to assist our police department further in terms of doing their jobs. And I wondered, there's been a lot of conversation and talk around red light cameras. To what extent would that information be incorporated into this data or vice versa? And my last question has to do with, there have been several instances wherein police have been dispatched, not just in our town, but throughout the state of Connecticut, where there have been mental health issues with the callers looking for assistance and help. Is that some information that could be incorporated into this data just to alert the police and to ensure, a heightened sense of awareness, not just for our officers, but the individuals and families sometimes that are calling for assistance with someone that has some mental health concerns?
Yeah, so about the red light cameras, that I would have to defer to the police department for. I'm not exactly sure how that works or how that might be incorporated, but nothing's not possible to be able to incorporate that in some way. And then regarding, I'm assuming your question is regarding like certain not problem houses, but like busy, like notes basically of when an officer goes. That is already in the dispatch system, so they can make notes and see things like that. That is something I could add to this, but it is already incorporated in their workflow for that. But that is a really good point as far as that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you so much for building this, Monique. I think this has been said, this is an amazing piece of technology. I'm thrilled with first to have it, and kudos to you, to the trendsetter. Make sure you own that, please. Congratulations. This is great work.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for coming in. Any other questions? No, that's fine. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Alrighty, moving right along. Next on the agenda is public participation. If you'd like to speak in public participation, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. If you are on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. We will alternate between in the room and over Zoom, and folks have 4 minutes to speak.
Hi, I'm Stuart Kelly, 641 Willard Avenue. I come to these meetings in hopes of making the town better. But there is a culture in this town and where, there are multiple laws, town and state laws are being broken. And we really have to hold John, our town manager, accountable to right many wrongs that are going on in Newington. And, I'd like to see the town get better, and with your help and this others speaking up, we can. But I mean, when it's right under your nose, this is, I finally figured out that this is the new town Parks and Rec director named Scott Karras. I'm dumping some rubble in the town highway department rubble pile for the public in a white truck. So I guess he's thinking I'm Parks and Rec and doesn't really matter. And the manner in which he went to fill up his personal 2014 Taurus gas tank with our municipal fuel at the Highway Department, only 8 weeks into his probationary 6-month contract as new Parks and Rec, just casually just filling up his gas tank. I guess I'm here because, my own tax went up $1,000 per property, okay, over the next 5. That's the same story for everyone. So we're really concerned about our taxes. And so when he pumps our tax dollars into his personal vehicle, there's really no excuse. And I've shared pictures with John, and I hope he shared them with you. It's a personnel matter. And I'm hoping that you brought this to the attention of the police department, because it is a theft of gas, plain and simple. It has to be dealt that way. And whatever you do, you have to follow the rules, just like I'm following the rules of reporting it to you. Because, you come here and it's kind of a love fest. Everything's wonderful. There are no problems. Everybody gets a proclamation. It's so great. But there are deep problems in this town, and it's called a culture. And I've spoken to it in the past. And frankly, nothing really changes it, but I try. I come here. I don't really have to, but I do. I speak up because it really helps the town that I'm spending the last 20 years of my career in urgent care, trying to make the townspeople better, right? But economically, our taxes have just gotten to a point where they're just too many for sale signs. You probably start to see them now. Next month, you'll see more. People will be leaving the town, and you can't just turn a blind eye to these problems. You really need to have Scott Karras come to this microphone and explain himself. Here's a picture. John, I gave you pictures. It's a public matter now. You need to report that to the police. I've done it in the past when I found the previous Parks and Rec director breaking the fence. The police circled their wagons around Mr. DeMeo, saying that, oh, well, he may have broken a law disturbing the fence in the cemetery. And I've spoken about it. Just do the right thing and put the fence back where it was. You can't just create new entrances and exits to the West Meadow Cemetery. He has to close the fence now. Parks and Rec now has a pattern of doing illegal things. The audit committee, I spoke to last time, Hilda, Kelly, and AJ. I hope you've all met with the finance director and really start to dig deep into our finances. Not everything is rosy. I see people driving into Parks and Rec on Sunday in their personal car, leaving, coming back at 4 o'clock, and are they clocking in and out on overtime and not doing work? I mean, I see these things, and you should be seeing those things, but you're deep in your office. So you have to rely on townspeople to bring this up, and it's not a bad thing. I shouldn't be gavelled down for speaking the truth. I shouldn't be intimidated by the police when I do bring people who are breaking the law to them. They circle the wagons and make me the bad guy. I'm here to try and make the town better. In my last 20 seconds, I must insist that you just cancel the contract with Bonavita. It's a true conflict of interest having him get paid $30,000 to put unnecessary porta potties all over town. And then in this budget, ask for another $10,000 just because the cost has gone up. It just smells of impropriety at its worst. And let's end this type of behavior today, please, John. And, you're both John. I just
You're
recognized
over
that.
time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate
All
it,
right,
Stu. Have a
bye-bye.
good one.
Thank you, Stuart.
We have one on Zoom. One on Zoom. We're gonna go to them, and then anyone who would like to speak next, please go up to the microphone. Louis, go right ahead.
Yes, Lewis from 482 Churchill Drive. Just wanted to talk today a little bit about these red light cameras. I've seen them on Willard now and on Robbins. So I guess that might have gone through because they're already up there. Monique, I salute you on what you're doing, and I'm hoping that the police department is tracking what their accident rates are before these red light cameras go in. I was looking at an online article, and in some states, New York in general, their accident rate since the red light cameras have gone up has increased rear-ending accidents by 56%. So we are trying to put these things in there for safety, and it seems like they're doing the opposite. So now people are, maybe when they might have gone through and just gone through a little bit faster, a yellow light, are now slamming on their brakes, causing multiple pile-up accidents and can potentially injure somebody. The Middletown Police Department says that now they have said that they've slowed down in the areas of the red light cameras. They just had a fatality from a pedestrian crossing one of the roads that was right down the road from a speed camera. So I like to see all the data on these speed cameras and these red light cameras because they don't seem like they're actually increasing safety, and it seems like they're making it more unsafe, the roads. So I like to see data on that. And then the other thing too is I'll just ricochet off of the other gentleman that just spoke too. Our police department, I went for a walk one day. I heard tires screeching. I look over and it is our own police department without their lights and sirens on, which means if they don't have their lights and sirens on, they are a pedestrian vehicle and they are supposed to follow the rules of the road. So if he's screeching his tires and speeding up unnecessarily, and he doesn't have his lights and sirens on, he should not be going to an emergency call, and he should be driving the speed limit, and the police officer should be obeying those speed limits. We talk about speed limits being for safety. Don't we want our officers to be safe too? So they really should be following the speed limits and actually setting the example. Be the example. Show people how it's supposed to be done and try to be safe out there. The other thing I just wanted to mention real fast too is I know we increased our budget and everybody's budget has increased, and I hope you guys realize what you have done because we have a lot of businesses leaving. We had Arby's leave, and from what I've heard in stories is that their rent went up and that's why they're leaving. We had LA Fitness leave because their rents went up. And now we have Plaza Azteca leaving. We have a lot of businesses leaving and not a whole lot coming in because we keep out giving out raises and we're trying to give out health benefits to things. We really don't have the money for it. And now we're really struggling in our businesses and our businesses are leaving. And once that happens, the town's going to lose out on a lot of the businesses that we rely on. And you guys got to go next time we go for a budget, you have to take this stuff in and can't just hand out raises. We got to do more for affordability and less for raises. So and that's got to be state and municipal level. So that's all I have to say. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis.
Hi, Dana Havens, 113 Stoddard Avenue. I'm asking the council to consider adopting a clear policy limiting flags flown on municipal buildings and town-owned flagpoles to official government flags only, such as the United States flag, state of Connecticut flag, and yada, yada. This is not about any one cause or organization or viewpoint. It's about protecting the town from unnecessary legal exposure and ensuring that all residents are treated equally. In 2022, the United States Supreme Court unanimously ruled that when a municipality allows private groups to fly flags on government property, it can create a public forum for private speech. Once that happens, towns may face significant legal challenges if they approve some flags while denying others based on viewpoint. Boston ultimately lost the case like that because it had no clear policy. It was found to have engaged in viewpoint discrimination. Since that decision, communities across Connecticut and the nation have faced increasing controversy over which flags should or should not be displayed on public property. Regardless of anyone's personal views, these disputes consume time, divide communities, and can expose taxpayers to costly litigation. The request from the last meeting has already hit one local paper. A simple content-neutral policy solves this problem. For instance, Newington recently raised a flag promoting organ donation awareness. Organ donation is a cause that many residents, including myself, may view as worthy and beneficial. However, some religious groups have beliefs regarding medical procedures, including blood transfusions and organ donations, that differ from those views being promoted. And they may reasonably feel that their government is taking position against them. That is one example of why the town should be cautious about using municipal flagpoles. Town government should serve every resident equally. Your role is to represent the entire community, not to become a forum for competing political, ideological, or special interest messages. That's the end of that one. Now, the pools. I would like to again address the status of the Town Pools Committee. I've taken the time to yet again review both state and local regulations, and based on my research, there appears to be no additional costs associated with the committee continuing its work. By reviewing the findings and design options already provided by Weston and Sampson and developing recommendations for one or both pools, any significant costs would only arise if, after completing that work, the committee and the town council chose to bring it to RFP. And even that is just a nominal fee. AJ, you said there was only 10 minutes left of work to do in your committee. I think you forgot your committee has to decide on which pool will be designed for competition and which for recreation, or they're both going to encompass both, which means there's still many more decisions to be made, much more than 10 minutes. Given all that, I'm struggling to understand why the committee's work would not continue. The engineering analysis has been completed, design options have been presented. It's only logical for the committee continue to evaluate all the options. Whether someone supports renovating the pools, replacing them, or moving them, we should all agree that having a fully developed plan is better than starting basically from the beginning yet again. By continuing this progress, now, we can ensure that when the town council determines the time is right to move forward with the referendum, the necessary groundwork has already been completed. That will save time, improve transparency, and provide residents and future contractors, for that matter, with the information they need to make informed choices and bids. I respectfully, again, urge the council to support the continuation of the committee going to work so that they are prepared when the council and the community is ready to decide on the future of the polls. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Dana.
Good evening, Edward Neuville, Surrey Drive. I have a few things to mention. On June 3rd, I want to thank AJ Tiniakis for attending the Senior Center Commission meeting. Reminding everyone that in the beginning of October, we'll have a bingo at the Portuguese Club. There'll be notices sent out to help supplement the nutrition program and the congregate lunch program. On June 17, I'm also the chairperson of the MS Council, and I want to thank Hilda Nevis for attending that meeting. We discussed the 3-year NIMS contract and the AMR contract. Before they had different effective and expiration dates. Now they're going to be all in line, and nothing has really changed on it. We basically went going from a 2-year contract to a 3-year contract. So I hope that you'll approve that quickly. June 18, I attended a town hall poll workers appreciation event, which was fabulous. The registrar of voters did a fabulous job, Jenny and Teresa and her crew. It was a great event. And it was also Marie Fox Scholarship Award presentation. June 1st, the gay pride flag came up. The town didn't, fall apart. It happened. The Newington Pride did a fabulous job, I think, on their pride event on Sunday. I just want to leave you with something to think about, everyone. LGBTQ pride was not born of the need to celebrate of being gay or trans, but our fight to exist without prosecution. So instead of wondering why there isn't a straight pride movement, be thankful you don't need one. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Hello. My name is Elena. I am a homeowner. I live at 44 Windmill Lane. I would like to speak tonight in support of adopting a formal flag policy here in Newington. I first spoke about my concerns on May 26, 2026 at the town council meeting. This is my second time speaking about this topic. I am here representing other Newington residents who echo the point that the town hall belongs to every one of us who reside here, and that the town hall should be a place where all residents feel represented, regardless of our religion, political views, personal beliefs, backgrounds, and/or identity. That being said, a formal flag policy is not about excluding anyone. It is about including everyone. It is about treating everyone equally under a clear set of rules. A formal flag policy removes politics from the decision-making process. A formal flag policy protects the Newington Town Council from having to decide which groups deserve to fly their flags and which groups do not. Further, a formal flag policy protects Newington taxpayers from future potential and costly legal disputes. A formal flag policy can address all of these issues by simply opting for the United States flag, the state of Connecticut flag, and in some cases, official government prisoner of war and missing in action flags to be flown on town premises. For all of these reasons, and for the reasons I spoke about here at the Town Council meeting on May 26, 2026, I respectfully urge the Town of Newington to adopt a comprehensive flag policy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead. Come on. No one online.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Colleen Kelly, 20 Harold Drive. So I'm not here all the time. I'm not in Connecticut all the time. But that doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to meetings or reading things on Facebook or going out on the site and listening or reading up on different meetings. This one concerns me a lot. And it's about the closure or the cancellation of the pool committee, as well as the June 9th meeting when it was brought up to this committee because of it seemed like judgment or attitudes toward someone, Dana, bringing it up, that it's kind of shocking that it was canceled. And honestly, I felt the same way. You, as the town council, approved that 12 million project. And there were a lot of, to go to referendum, yes, you did. And there were a lot of open issues that weren't closed when you approved it. So a fringe radical, I guess I'm one of them, had concerns, and we brought issues and we brought concerns. And the result of that was nasty mailings to people, the residents in Newington, from that committee or from somewhere, Park and Rec, I'm not exactly sure where it came from, but the no people, they want pool conditions to stay bad. They want to have the mold. They don't want to clear up mold. They don't want, it said they're preventing dangerous chemicals and stuff, seepage in the waters. Massive ADA lawsuits would happen if we didn't go through with this. Dangerous mold. But the one that was really the biggest lie of all, and I can attest to that, and you can all attest to it, is there will be no pool opening on 2025. Well, here it is 2026 and we're still opening the pools. So what dire straits were we in to spend $12 million to upheave a pool into an area that was just ridiculous? And now you've come so close to a closure. Maybe not, but maybe, now you're saying, no, you're not. So a year and a half later, and we're still at the same spot then. If you don't have, Weston came in, it looked like a good design. It looked like a reasonable price. Maybe I have the wrong name. But we're still, decades of talking about this pool. And I understand, no budget now. And it's not an excuse. It is, but it isn't. Because if we're in dire straits, then what do we need to do? Really, are we still trying to overcompensate for things? Or can we just figure out how to update this with reasonable amount? And as Dana said, prepare it for when we do have money to complete it. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Appreciate it. Come on up.
Donald Brown, 67 Stafford Avenue. Your next agenda item reads Introduction of Resolution Authorizing Referendum for New Fire Station Number 4. I'm just here to encourage you to please move this project forward so that it can go before the voters this November. This is a very important project for public safety. And the longer we put it off, the more expensive it's going to get. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you.
Good evening. I'm Peter Forcelina, 309 Candlewick Drive. Within the past 2 months, there's been discussion about the possibility of our town pursuing a flag policy. Our mayor and our town council have begun to consider this topic. I've heard that our town manager has requested legal opinion on our town pursuing that policy. I believe that both the request and the legal opinion response should be made public and be read into the record. Other towns in Connecticut have flag policies to minimize risks to those towns. Berlin, Holland, New Britain, Manchester, they all have flag policies. Southington and South Windsor have flag ordinances. By not having a policy, Newington risks future litigation from groups who may feel that their rights have been violated. Why some and not others? This town council would represent 100% of Newington residents by pursuing a flag policy that only allows flags of the United States of America, the state of Connecticut, and the town of Newington to be flown at our municipal properties. 100%. I'd like to better understand why the town council would fail to consider a committee to evaluate that flag policy and lessen the overall risk exposure to the town. Thank you.
We do have one online. We'll go to that one. You can come on up and we'll go to you next. Go right ahead, Ms. Lyons.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I too want to speak to the pool committee meetings, and I have to say that I have not been following this last one, but I have followed the one prior to that and the one before that as well. And there was a point in time that there was $5 million available from the state to go forward with or put in money for a pool. But because we had no plan in place, we missed that opportunity. Then we went to the next pool committee and fast forwarded everything through to referendum without, in my opinion, vetting all the possibilities of where the pool could be put. And I thought this committee was going to address both pools and come up with a plan to present to the town council. Can you tell me if there is a plan, or have they come up with any kind of decisions as to what they want to see? I don't think we need to have the money in order to come up with a plan. That can always change. It's just, it's not sitting right in my head as to what direction we're going into, because it seems to me like the same thing is happening that happened with the first committee, but they at least brought a plan to the town council. The town council said, no, we don't like this. We want you to meet again and come up with a different plan. And it took 18 months for that committee to meet, and that's how we lost the $5 million. I don't want to see that happen again. So, I mean, I may be way off base, but having sat through at least two of the committees and some of the third committee meetings, I don't think we're in a good place right here, personally. I know we have a lot of money that's going to have to be spent on other things, and that's more important. I get that. But we should have some idea of what we'd like to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. You're up, sir.
David Horrigan, 30 Candlewick Drive. I'm here tonight to request that the town council form a committee with the purpose of establishing a Newington flag raising policy. As support for my request, I'll reference a state of Connecticut legislature research paper regarding a court case in Boston, which involves a request by Camp Constitution to raise a Christian flag at City Hall. There's not enough time to read the whole report, so I'll go right to the summary. Boston had no written policy or clear internal guidance about what flag groups could fly and what those flags would communicate. A city employee testified he had never requested to review flags in advance, and the city tried to accommodate all applicants. The court contrasted Boston's lack of a policy with other city policies that include provisions saying flagpoles are not intended to serve as a forum of free expression by the public. Therefore, the court concluded that Boston's flag policy amounted to private, non-government speech. That's an important point. After determining the city's flag-raising private speech, the court considered whether the city, by rejecting Camp Constitution's flag, impermissibly excluded speech based on religious viewpoint. The city explicitly stated the sole reason it rejected the flag was due to its religious content. Consequently, the court upheld that the city violated the free speech clause. So where does this bring us? We're all here speaking tonight to avoid getting sued. We can't afford another lawsuit. So this state legislative review suggests one of three things. Either you display only official flags, US flag, Connecticut flag, and town of Newington flags, or you use the flagpole to convey the government's message and display only those flags, excuse me, that the governing body selects. According to the court, towns can express this intent in their written policy. And lastly, and most importantly, you can use a flagpole as a forum for private expression and allow private organizations and individuals to display flags. Under this approach, a town has limited discretion to reject flags and cannot do so based on the content. So you wouldn't be able to reject any flag, no matter how controversial. So you need a committee, you need to get a policy in place that clearly states what we can and cannot do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else in the room or over Zoom? All right, come on up.
Hi, Jacob Knowlton, 10 Hillside Street. Sorry, I'm a bit tired today, so I might not have the patience I usually do, but I'll try my best. I support also having a flag policy. I agree. It's probably for the best in terms of not facing legal hassle. That being said, I don't agree with what most have been saying, which is to make it just the three flags we typically see. When Southington put in their flag ordinance, they ran into the issue with their Italian heritage event that they couldn't fly Italian flags. And they're like, what do we do? So we have a bunch of goals in our POCD and other documents expressing vibrancy and that we want to celebrate everyone. And I absolutely love that. I think that's how we have character and we bring people together and we share ideas. So I would support creating a policy that just ties the policy to things like inherent traits, showing support for folks who have documented hardships as large groups, or culture, because I think all those things are important to our community regardless. None of those things are things that the individuals choose, right? So when it comes to religion, you're oftentimes educating yourself on the religion and choosing that as your belief. when it comes to being straight. You're not like gay people just got the opportunity or the equal opportunity to have access to tax benefits in terms of when it comes to getting married in 2015. You know, the fact that I couldn't get married or I wasn't allowed to get married until I was like 15 of age in this world. Not to mean that I'm ever going to get married at 15, but you know what I mean, is nuts. So, but frankly, in my lack of patience today, I'll express this. I spend most of my days working hard to figure out our flooding issues, our infrastructure issues, our housing crisis, affordability, studying our tax system because our taxes were nuts this year, you know. We have a million issues. And so the fact that I'm coming here this afternoon to talk about flags just seems rather silly. So that's all I want to express. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room or over Zoom that would like to speak in public participation? Going once, going twice. All right. All righty. I do believe we did have some email correspondence. Councilor Flora, Councilor Drake are going to be reading it.
Sure, I'll get started.
Sure.
This is from Beth Del Buno and 327 Walsh Avenue, Newington, Connecticut. Councilors, please read this correspondence into the record at the Town Council meeting on June 23rd. I am writing to encourage the council to adopt a clear and restrictive flag policy for all municipal buildings and properties. Establishing a policy that limits the display of flags to those representing the United States, the state of Connecticut, the town of Newington, and other officially recognized governmental entities would provide consistency and help protect the town from potential legal challenges. Recent court decisions have demonstrated that when municipalities permit the display of some non-governmental or ideological flags, they may face difficult questions regarding equal access and accusations of viewpoint discrimination. A restrictive policy that treats all non-governmental organizations and causes equally by declining to display their flags would help avoid placing the town in the position of choosing one message over another. Municipal buildings should remain places that serve all residents, regardless of their backgrounds or beliefs. A content-neutral flag policy would ensure that public property is used to represent the town and its governmental functions rather than individual causes or viewpoints. Such an approach promotes fairness, consistency, and unity while minimizing the risk of costly litigation and controversy. Given the importance of this issue and the diverse perspectives within our community, I respectfully recommend that the council establish a committee to develop a proposed flag policy. A committee process would provide an opportunity for thoughtful discussion, careful review of legal considerations, and meaningful public input throughout the process. Allowing residents to share their views and concerns as the policy is being crafted would help ensure that the final product reflects the interests of the community while providing clear and consistent guidance for the town. Given the above reasons, I respectfully urge the council to move forward with this process and adopt a comprehensive flag policy that clearly defines which flags may be displayed on municipal property and establishes objective standards that can be applied uniformly. Doing so would provide clarity for residents and officials alike and help safeguard the town's interests for years to come. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Another one, Councilor Draco.
Councilors, please read this email into the record at the Newington Town Council meeting on June 23rd. I'm writing to ask the Town Council to consider creating a flag policy for municipal buildings. I believe having a clear and restrictive policy in place would help protect the town from lawsuits and keep future councils from having to decide which groups or causes should be represented and which should not. Without a policy, the town could find itself in difficult situations where allowing one flag but denying another could lead to accusations of unfair treatment. Having clear rules that limit flag displays to official government flags would help avoid those problems and provide consistency for everyone. I also think this is something that should involve the public. I would encourage the council to create a committee to develop a proposed policy rather than trying to put one together all at once. A committee would give it residents an opportunity to provide input and share their thoughts throughout the process, and it would allow time to carefully consider the legal and practical issues involved. No matter where people stand on particular causes or organizations, I think it makes sense to have a policy that is applied equally to everyone and keeps the focus on municipal buildings, on representing the town and its governmental functions. Thank you for taking this issue into consideration. Scott Del Buno, 327 Walsh Avenue, Newington, Connecticut.
Counselor, do we have any additional No, okay, very good.
I just have after the last town council meeting, one of the residents was encouraged or advised to send a request that he had made in public, to a written request for, the flag to be flown.
What flag?
It was, Mr. Andreas's, request, and he was told, he presented it here in public, and then he was acknowledged or advised to send a written request to the town council, which he did, which I believe we all received. So even though in the bulk of his letter, he did not say, please read this into the town, into the minutes, he was advised to send it as a formal request. So I don't know whether I should read it or not.
If it's a request, then
You could read it.
Okay.
you got, yeah, read it, but
Okay, this is from, Andreas, dated June 9th, 76 Vincent Drive. I appreciate the council's efforts to represent and respect all members of our community. My question is, if the town allows flags representing certain identities or groups, would similar requests from other groups be considered under the same criteria? Understanding you cannot answer my question in real time, and presenting my written and formal request that the straight pride flag be flown for the remainder of the month of June and subsequently for the entire month of June each year thereafter. The straight pride flag represents heterosexual identity for the inclusion of straight people in the month of June. This council has stressed the importance of inclusion of the pride flag and the individuals that it represents. This council has also expressed many times that they want to ensure all members of our community feel welcomed. As a contributing member of our community, I ask the council to initiate a vote on flying the straight pride flag in honor of the Newington heterosexual community. In an effort to facilitate and expedite recognition of the heterosexual community, I have purchased a straight pride flag, and I will donate the flag that I purchased to be flown after town council approval. I appreciate the council's commitment to representing all members of our community.
Thank you, Counselor. Was there any additional email correspondence?
No.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to remarks by counselors on public participation. I'll actually kick us off. I want to address the comment about the red light cameras and make it clear, we do not have any active red light or speed enforcement cameras in town at this time. We're going through the process and meeting with vendors, and I think we're close to selecting somebody, but we do not have any active red light cameras in town at this time. There would be public hearings, public information sessions, all sorts of things like that prior to anything going up. So people will have have plenty of notice before anything happens. So if you're seeing cameras or you've seen things that look like cameras, they are not speed enforcement devices or red light cameras in this town. That's all I got. Counselor Tiniakis.
yeah, I'm gonna try and hit everything that was spoken. Thank you everyone for coming out. The red light cameras, yeah, we don't have any red light cameras, but they don't increase the amount of accidents. They're statistically lower the amount of auto accidents that happen. It does shift the type of accidents that do happen though, right? So there was a little bit of truth in there. So you won't see as many T-bone or intersection losses with red light cameras, but you do see more rear end losses, which statistically I work in the auto claims industry, are much safer of car accidents to happen. You don't get as injured as badly as different types of accidents. So total amount of accidents do go down, just the typing changes, it shifts. Someone had mentioned also that businesses or taxes on businesses are too high, which I think taxes just in general are high across the board. But this past tax year, the burden of taxes actually shifted away from businesses and more onto the residential property. So if a business in town is closing, I cannot envision that being due to local policies. And I think that's just an overwhelming indication about how our like national economy is going and how our state and national like handling of taxes are going. As far as the pools, so we had spoken to this last meeting. The referendum, the past referendum had failed by a margin, I think about like 3 or 4%. And then 2 months after that had passed, we were right back in committee. We started fresh from the beginning. Someone had mentioned that in the last meeting, I said that we were 10 minutes away from being completed. That is not true. During the last meeting, I had mentioned that the committee had one more meeting to do, to go through to redefine the language in the RFP. That would have took 10 minutes. Just going through the language of the RFP would have took 10 minutes. I had ended what my last statement is about the pool committee, saying that it was in extremely early stages and that it was nowhere near getting ready to present to council. We have a lot of more things to do. And I tried to explain the rationale as to why we haven't met, because we don't have the funds to push this out to RFP and act on it. I feel like maybe I'm not explaining it right. Jonathan, if you want to give it another shot, you might be able to explain it a little better than I can. But to give everyone a synopsis of what the committee has done so far is that we've gotten inspections done at both pool locations. We have gotten mock concept designs of both locations and 2 or 3 designs for each location. We've determined that each pool is going to stay in the existing shell. They're not moving anywhere. We determined the type of replacement shell that we're going to place on top of the existing pool now. And then we're at the point now where we're drafting up an RFP to send out. But we don't have the money. We had money slated in the past budget to do so. We took that out because this past budget was tough. And now we're kind of at a point where we don't have that funds to act on that. So that's why we haven't met. We're working on finding those funds throughout the new fiscal year. If anyone has any questions about the pool, please feel free to reach out to me. My cell phone, my email, all of that is online. You can message me on Facebook, although I do not check Messenger that often. Trying to think if there's anything else. And then I do agree that a flag policy of some kind would probably be a productive thing to do. I will say though that if we were to get a flag policy, I would not be in support of one that is extremely exclusive of just outside flags. I think that I would support something that's a little bit more broader, that gives people the ability to express or at least allows the council to express their speech and their views on what flag they like to fly.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Gonzalez?
AJ, thank you for that information. I believe that is there a position still open on the,
There is.
so I
an
just,
open spot on the pool.
yeah, I wanted to let the community know there seems to be a lot of people concerned, which is great with the pool committee. So maybe you can step up and give some of your time to serve on that. Can they reach out to you if they're interested, or how should
It
they?
is a Republican appointment, so it would be Tim Menke is the Parks and Rec committee appointing on the pool committee. He's on the Parks.
So if
Committee.
anybody's interested, they can,
You have to switch him eventually. You're gonna have to do that.
instead of going back and forth now, if anybody's interested, maybe they could reach out to our Republican counselors.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other remarks from council? All right, seeing.
Oh, Matt.
Oh, sorry, Councilor Porter. Sorry, I didn't
Thank
see
you,
you.
Mayor.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you so much, everybody who came out tonight and spent some time with us. I just want to speak to a few different things. I won't reiterate some of the points that my colleagues made, but I just want to add, as far as it relates to any personnel issues, I refer those to Jonathan, and I'm sure Jonathan will get into anything that.
Can I address, there was
Of course,
one,
certainly.
I'd like to address, that was made about Mr. Curis. He has a town vehicle that he uses so that he has, in his capacity as superintendent of Parks and Recreation, can access all of our 9 or 10 neighborhood parks. And, get back and forth to the grounds garage where he supervises. The handful of town employees who have take-home vehicles are entitled to use the municipal fueling depot to fill up their vehicles. It's no different than our highway superintendent or our police chief or anybody who needs to use a town vehicle in order to perform their essential duties. So as far as any allegation of wrongdoing by Mr. Curis, I would strenuously deny that exists, and I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Jonathan. I also wanted to mention, there was a reference to the audit subcommittee. I know, Mr. Calais, you haven't joined us for a couple of meetings, but we did reference the audit subcommittee at a recent meeting, and are kind of rediscussing the charge of that committee and wanting to get it back together meeting. You should also be aware, though, that the town does conduct an annual audit, the results of which are available. So I encourage you to look into that as well. Other concerns. One thing, Ms. Kelly, I appreciated you coming and sharing your perspective about the pool committee, and I echo the comments that have been made by my colleagues. But I just want to add, there was some reference to mailer that you received at your home, I received the same mailer. I believe that was put together by a political action committee set with the responsibility of promoting that particular policy. There was some reference to it having been Parks and Rec or a town function that had, or us that had created that mailer or sent that out. And that's just not, this isn't a back and forth, I'm sorry, but we can certainly connect anytime. But I just want to correct that message for the public, because information in this room, folks come here looking for accurate information, and that was inaccurate. So I just want to correct that. And that's all that I'll say for now. Thank you. Councilor Gudrigo?
Yeah, two comments, basically. First of all, I do believe that the individual who made a formal request for the flag to be flown deserves a response. I don't believe silence is a response. I think we owe any individual who makes a request such as that in public and was told to do so, to make a formal request. Simply ignoring the request is not appropriate. So I'll leave it at that, but I do believe a response is needed, particularly in light of the legal liabilities and observations that have been brought up by not only the residents, but by advice to the town from our own attorney and from other the paper that Mr. Horgan referenced. Secondly, I do not believe that talking about flag policy is silly. I think a lot of us have jobs, a lot of us have tough work, but protecting the town from expensive lawsuits or liability is not silly or a waste of time. And this is not the first time I've been told that it's a waste of time of the town council's time to talk about a flag policy. I've brought it up twice in agenda setting, and both times have been told that it won't, that it should stay in leadership and not be brought to the town council. Once because town council has more important things to spend their time on, and I was told I was being reactive, but I'm trying to be proactive. I'm trying to prevent our town from unintended liability. And after discussions, it was agreed to consult the town attorney for some advice or guidance on the issue. I firmly believe that this needs to be brought to the town council and have a committee formed, and regardless of what the outcome of that committee is, it could be extremely restrictive, it could be extremely liberal. I don't care. The fact is that this issue should be addressed in public, where meetings are open, where the public has a right to comment on it, and for the town council, particularly in view of guidance from our legal advisors, that the town should have a policy. I believe it's irresponsible if we do not at least form a committee to at least start to address and look into what can be done. Maybe there's other alternatives to a municipal flag pole where people can address can have their causes displayed, or maybe the committee will come up with, will not disregard, but will be willing to take the risk, whatever. But we are starting to get, since I've been on the council, we now have 3 or 4 requests. I think it could become more prevalent in the future. I do not think it's being reactive. I think it's being proactive. Other towns, other communities, other municipalities have determined that having a policy in place protects the town. My responsibility is to protect the town from liability. And as a member of the town council, according to our rules and procedures, I'm entitled to have an item placed on the next agenda or future agenda by contacting the town manager, majority or minority leader prior to agenda setting meetings. I haven't had luck myself in an agenda setting meeting, bringing it to the town council as an agenda item. I'm formally and publicly requesting now that this item be placed at least for discussion on the next town council agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Capella?
Okay, so in regards to the red light cameras, I think Newington might have been confused because I did see a video that there was a red light camera on the Berlin Turnpike, but I believe it was the beginning of it. So it could have been Weathersfield.
Yeah.
Because I know that they just adopted that. As far as the pool committee, AJ, maybe we have a pool committee and just straighten everything out in public on that meeting. We could set something up. Also, flag policy, my position is simple. Government should be governed by clear policies. And I think if we don't have a formal flag policy, we are threatened by legal uncertainties. And that could be, won't be good for our town. And we've already have had a lot of lawsuits this year. I think we should definitely form a formal policy and just have a clear vision of what this council wants.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Counselor Floyd?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to add and respond to some of what my colleague said, in particular, Counselor Retreco, because what was said in agenda setting, and maybe we should make those meetings public too at this point if we're going to discuss those conversations, and we certainly can. What was said in agenda setting by myself, and I know by the mayor as well, was that we're fine with exploring this policy. And of course, we speak on behalf of our caucus. We're fine with exploring this policy. I actually think it could be a really good discussion. We just have other things that we're working on, as do you, as does this community. I'd love to spend our time talking about tax fairness. We had one speaker tonight bring up the budget. We had one speaker tonight discuss affordability. We're going to be discussing veterans tax exemptions later in this meeting. We didn't have a single speaker tonight talk about that, but we had a lot of speakers talk about a flag policy. And that's great. We've raised this flag that has prompted this discussion 3 years in a row. And so I don't really see the particular urgency right now to have that discussion. But what we discussed and said in that meeting was that we want the council to have that discussion. And so I support that completely. I think this council should have that discussion. I just think we're working on a lot of other things right now. And that includes economic development. That includes veterans tax exemptions. Folks are going to be getting tax bills in 2 weeks, and they're going to be looking to us for some answers and some leadership. And we're going to have in a prime spot on our public agenda a discussion about a flag policy. It just seems very tone deaf to me to have that discussion right now. It seems very reactive to a particular flag. And so I think, again, I support having that conversation completely. And thankfully, this council is going to be together for a little while longer, and we can continue to have that discussion and move forward in the most appropriate way together as a council. I just don't really understand why that needs to happen right now or the next meeting or tonight.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Nieves.
Yes, I just wanted to comment on one of the, during public participation, I think it was Lewis, I don't recollect the last name, made a comment about red light cameras in town, and my counselor Nancy Capellas did comment on it. The cameras that I think he may be confusing with Newington. It is on the Berlin Turnpike and it's Weathersfield that already enacted their practice of having cameras. So that is not Newington, as our mayor indicated previously. There was another comment made about taxes, and I believe it was Lewis as well, that taxes were too high in this town and businesses are leaving. Cited a couple of locations here in town on the Berlin Turnpike. Taxes are high, and taxes went up much more rapidly, and they're costlier for our property owners. They actually went down. They weren't hit as hard, the businesses in town. And I also wanted to point out that I think leases are exceptionally high and skyrocketing due to a property manager inflating costs for individuals and businesses looking to lease property. So I think that's part of the issue as well for not just this town, for I think many businesses across the state and across our country. That applies to housing affordability issues as well.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Draco.
No, I just want to thank you, Counselor Ford, for being willing to bring this to the council now, but it was for two leadership. It's not a new issue. The flag policy has been brought up before, and it's not one of the reasons it's becoming more important or concerning in my eyes is the fact that communities are being sued, that there's people are more pushing the envelope, and there is more guidance and advice now on what can or cannot or should not be in place in terms of policy. So the fact that in leadership, I was told, we'll continue to discuss, and when I asked, well, how will we continue to address this? When I brought up the fact that we had a legal advice, we'll continue to talk about it in leadership, but in both of those meetings, it was silent until the very end, and I brought it up. I said, oh, by the way, how about? Oh, by the way, how about? So I want to get it out of leadership. I want to get it here. I don't think it's silly. I don't think it's not going to be an hour-long discussion. I don't think it needs to be at this particular body. All I'm asking for, and I think some of the public is asking for, is let's just put together a committee that can do the discussion behind, outside of this, every other Tuesday, and see what they come up with. Maybe their advice, maybe the committee will be, we don't want one, we don't need one, which I think is short-sighted, but let other members of the council weigh in on a subcommittee. We have an awful lot of subcommittees, believe me, and let the public be involved in some of these discussions. Let's get the legal advice out in public that we've received, and let's just move forward from there. Again, I don't think the possibility of lawsuits is silly or a waste of time. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Deputy Mayor Rada.
Yes, first of all, as we most often say, thank you to all of you who have come out, whether we agree with one another or we disagree, that's part of our democratic process. And I appreciate people taking the time and taking the effort, and it's not always a comfortable situation to speak in public. And I applaud all of you for being here and for those folks who have already left. That said, I do want to address a couple of issues. And I do agree and concur with Councilor Nieves, and I can't remember who else mentioned the red light cameras. I go back and forth to Hartford at least 3 days a week, and I go to Berlin Turnpike up onto Route 5. And I saw it today, there's a sign on the Weathersfield side that announces that you are going to be followed, or you're going to be seen, or you're going to be photographed by a red light camera. So I have to watch my accelerator pedals. Next, Councilor Tiniakis, I think you've done a pretty stellar job in bringing information from the pool committee to the council and also to the public in a very transparent way. What it's been tough. There have been pros and cons over the past couple of years, many years, regarding the pools, and to have a new and revitalized committee looking into this and speaking to it. And I thank you for actually providing us with this timeframe tonight, and always being available, as I think all of us are available whenever folks need to get in touch with us, have questions, concerns. We're here. That's one of our jobs, is to listen and to respond. I want to comment on there you are, Donald Brown, speaking about the issue of Company 4. This has been a concern and is a tremendous need in the community, particularly in that part of the town that's covered by Company 4. And we'll be moving and speaking to this a little bit later, and I'm sure that's another reason why you're here tonight. But thank you for bringing it up. It's critical to our community, and I feel that sometimes folks see the fire department, they see the police department when the lights are flashing and the sirens are blazing, but the work that's done every single day and the needs that you all have are sometimes not always well understood. So thank you for being here tonight. As far as flag policy, we have talked about this in the past. We continue to talk about this. I am certainly not opposed to discussion of a flag policy, but it's certainly, it's interesting. I'll just put it this way. It's interesting that when the conversation arises, and with other things, everything else that we are facing including tax bills that are going to be coming out July 1st. With all of the other concerns that we have, not to say that this is not a concern, and I don't want to belittle this, but we have pressing, critical issues to face in our community. And hopefully we will be working together, and you may be shaking your head no, but I respectfully disagree. But at some point in time, I think, yes, we can form a committee. We can talk about flag policy. We can look at other communities and see what has been done, what issues have arisen because of or without a policy. But at this point in time, I question the urgency, and I respectfully feel that we need to put this on an agenda at a later time and deal with the critical issues that we are facing in our community at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we will move on to consideration of old business. Item A, introduction of resolution authorizing referendum for new fire station number 4. Council Floyd, would you please read the resolution?
Certainly. Introduction. I hereby introduce for the town council's consideration the proposed resolution authorizing an appropriation of $7,800,000 for the construction of a new fire station number 4 located at 84 Fifth Street, and the financing of said appropriation by the issuance of general obligation bonds or notes of the town in anticipation of such bonds in an amount not to exceed $7,800,000, as well as establishing a date for a referendum, a copy of which has been filed with the clerk of the council. Resolved that the town council of the town of Newington hereby schedules a public hearing to be held in person and through the use of Zoom webinar software in Newington, Connecticut on Tuesday, July 14th at 6:30 p.m. to hear comments on the foregoing resolution. Be it further resolved that the town clerk post and publish notice of the time, place, and purpose of said public hearing, along with the foregoing resolution in full, in accordance with the provisions of section 406 of the town charter.
Second.
Motion by Council Floyd, second by Deputy Mayor Rada. Any discussion on
As a
this?
reminder, pursuant to the charter, or not supposed to comment on, now that the motion's been introduced, you're not supposed to comment on the.
So that's what I was gonna be asked. So gag order is effective.
No, the non-advocacy gag order doesn't take effect until you approve, until the next meeting if you
We can't
approve
comment
it.
until
But
after
you just
public
can't
hearing.
comment on this, on the resolution itself, I guess, other than the date, I guess, like the procedural aspects of it.
Gotcha.
At this point, pursuant to the charter.
Thank you.
Very good.
Please
All
come out.
right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries 8-0 with Counselor DeHaas absent. All right. Next, we're moving on to item B, year-end appropriation transfers. Fiscal year 25-26. Counselor Flores, a long one. I'm sorry. Would you
No,
mind
it's
please
okay.
reading it?
Certification. In accordance with section 808 of the town charter, I hereby certify that there exists free from encumbrances in the following appropriations in general fund, the amounts listed below. Account number 960, titled contingency, amount $67,227. Account number 232, titled fire department firefighting, amount $30,000. Signed Lauren Rhines, acting director of finance. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers the above certified funds to the following accounts in the general fund. Account number 320, title Highway Department, amount $29,627. Account number 810, title Parks Administration, amount $10,000. Account number 32500-88142, title PS Equipment Reserve, amount $30,000. Account number 10310-8217, titled Consultants/Special Contractor, amount $27,600. Be it further resolved that the town manager is authorized to make additional transfers from unencumbered balance of appropriations within the general fund to the administrative, municipal, and police pension trust funds in an amount not to exceed $175,000. That's the first motion.
Yeah, so we do that one and then the next one.
I think we
Yeah,
to
we need a
vote on it.
second. Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. So
I'll second.
second by Deputy Mayor Rada. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries 8-0. Counselor DeHaas absent. And the next one, Counselor Floyd.
Sure. Certification. In accordance with section 808 of the town charter, I hereby certify that there exists free from encumbrances in the following appropriation in the CIP fund, the amount listed below. Account number 30420-88329, title National Welding, amount $62,224.22. Signed Lauren Rhines, acting director of finance. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers the above certified funds to the following CIP fund accounts. Account number 30197-88228, title Radio Lease, amount $62,224.22.
Thank you, Counselor. You have a second?
Second.
Motion by Counselor Flores, second by Counselor Taniakis. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries 8-0. Counselor DeHaas absent. Moving on to item C, tax suspense list. Deputy Mayor Rada, would you please read this resolution?
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby authorizes a transfer in the amount of $300,788.40 to the suspense tax book for the list year 2024-2025. This action is being taken upon the recommendation of Stacy Emanuel, Revenue Collector, as shown on a report dated June 4th, 2026.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Rada, second by Counselor Floyd. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries 8-0. Counselor DeHaas absent. Want to do a second part?
Sure. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby authorizes the outstanding balance from the 2010 grand list in the amount of $9,810.58 to be removed from the town's receivable assets as of June 30th, 2026, as per the recommendation of Stacy Emanuel, Revenue Collector, as shown on a report dated June 4th, 2026.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Rada, second by Counselor Gonzalez. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries 8-0. Counselor DeHaas absent. Alrighty, and we move on to veterans exemptions. See Danielle is with us today and you provided a great number of things for us to consider. I guess I would, at this point, council can ask questions, or I think we can continue considering.
Yeah,
I mean, if anyone has questions from council, please.
Yeah, I mean, questions and then any direction for staff to take in developing a resolution.
Councilor Floyd?
Yeah, I'll just mention, I don't have any questions. I'm looking forward to the continued discussion about this, but I just wanted to mention, I stopped by the recent meeting of the American Legion down on Willard Avenue the other day. And I chatted with some veterans just about some of these exemption options and wanted to hear a little bit more from them about their experience interacting with our system and what kinds of exemptions they've applied to with success, what they haven't applied to with success, what towns they've, many of them were from out of town, what towns that they're from, what kind of systems they have. And I just got a lot of really interesting, very helpful feedback that I'm happy to share with folks, but just about folks anticipating that they were going to be eligible for the TDIU benefit, and then applying for it, and then not having this local option. Again, as I've said before, just is a matter of pride in a lot of ways. Folks feel like they've given to our country, and that the basic thing that the town could do in return to them is give them a little bit of a break that they've earned. And they find that they're not eligible for it. I know that's not our assessor's office. That Danielle, you do excellent work connecting, and your staff connecting residents and veterans with the exemptions that they're eligible for. But I just think it's incumbent on us to expand those exemptions further, not just for TDIU, but I'm more and more so in favor of reviewing more of these exemptions as well and expanding our opportunities here in town. It's a small group of folks, but it's a group of folks for whom we would not be able to do anything without them. So I think it's a very small way for us to say thank you, and I continue to support discussion about this.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments or questions from council? Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm ready to give you a directive necessarily on a resolution. I think we're probably close to that, but I think this is great information, and I think, we have, to your point, is we want to get this done before the October grand list. So I think we probably can discuss it at our next, next agenda setting, and, we'll see what goes from there. Councilor Draco.
I'm just wondering, Danielle, whether you've been in contact with the VA here in Newington about this, about if they have any handle on the numbers of people?
No, not really, because we tend to, a lot of what we do in the assessor's office has to kind of stay in the assessor's office, unfortunately. But, we do have a statewide association for assessors. And that played an important role in this. And so the assessors had a lot of voice behind this.
Okay. I was just wondering if they had a clue on how many, potentially more than the 13, this would benefit.
No, because even when they passed sorry, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
Even when they passed the APA, like we call it the APA, the 100% total, permanent and total, the numbers far exceeded what the VA told the state.
Not necessarily accurate.
And it was, so they were predicting a very small amount. And so when the numbers started to come out, it was far exceeded the estimates that were given to the politicians at the state and the assessor association.
Okay, thank
and
you.
the towns.
Councilor Gonzalez.
I just wanted to say that I'm not too concerned about the numbers, as these are our veterans. And even if the numbers are higher than the 13 that you have, I think we owe that to them to do something. So I'm not concerned with the numbers. I think that we owe our veterans this.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Floyd.
Yeah, I'll just echo Councilor Gonzalez's point that, I think the more folks certainly who know about the kinds of exemptions they're eligible for, the better. So this process is helpful insofar as with that alone, it helps folks let them know that they are eligible for exemptions that they may not know about. But to the extent that exemptions are on the books, I think folks should take advantage of them, particularly when we're in this really difficult period that we're going to enter starting July 1st. The folks that may be impacted by some of these may be among our most vulnerable residents to increases. So I think it's really important, regardless of the number of people that we provide that kind of support to them.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Pacheco.
Yes, I just want to make it clear, I don't want anybody inferring that I'm against this. I was just curious in terms of trying to predict a budgeting for the next year or whatever and how it would impact. And as the town manager had said in his memo, to consider it, how we can develop alternative revenue sources. Please don't infer that I'm against this. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Nieves.
Yes, I know we had a conversation previously about the exemptions, but I did have two questions. And it has to do with the extend exemption to the Gold Star spouses. And I know you haven't spoken yet, Danielle, but it says not applicable in two categories. And you also have 0 for the number of impacted properties. Is there, I would think that a Gold Star family, I'm wondering, they're not entitled to exemptions?
They are, we just do not have any.
Okay. And so they would be.
Yes,
Okay.
there's a number of actually on top of this would provide other exemptions that Gold Star families are,
Okay.
have available to them.
Okay, and if you can provide some clarity in terms of if a veteran has a 100% disability, permanent disability, why would they have to apply every year, submit their information every year to qualify for the exemption?
Yes, the state changed with this public act, changed some of the rules statutorily. And one of them was requiring that they apply every year because the VA can, if a veteran has 100% disability and then has surgery, for example, it would then maybe they would take away the permanent and total, or the TDIU, because there would be like their disability rating would go down. So they can remove certain things on the veterans.
Okay, I'm thinking of the word permanent.
Right.
It
sure.
won't change in the explanation you just provided.
Yeah.
There's
And that-
surgery. Okay, I understand that.
And so basically, the application that they have to fill out requires that they provide us an updated letter every year from the VA, because they do get a letter every single year from the VA.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Capella.
Okay, I strongly support this and support veterans, and anything that we can do to help them would be great. But before adopting these new exemptions, I just wanted to understand a long-term fiscal impact, whether there's any alternative ways that we can provide this without shifting it to the taxpayers. I personally could afford it, but there's so many people in town that are on a strict income, and I probably won't even be allowed with just 13 people, but I'm just thinking ahead.
I think, I can't necessarily speak to what's going to happen fiscally in the future. I think there's some of these veterans benefits that aren't included in here that we do get state funds back, because I have to report that to the state every year. So there are some that the state gives us money back every year into the budget, but I don't know that I can necessarily speak to what the fiscal impact will be moving forward.
And just to that point about alternate revenue streams, I mean, unfortunately in Connecticut, we're hamstrung by the fairly limited number of revenue streams that we're authorized to put in place. One of the challenges we have is we do get fee revenue, but we can't use fee revenues like, for whether that's for parking tickets or whatever, but you can't use fee revenue to cross subsidize another thing. Fees can only recover the costs of the service being provided. So yeah, I don't have a magic bullet. I just think it's more like a long-term aspirational thing of working with our state delegation to expand the potential income streams that municipalities are eligible for.
And maybe as a alternative, and I think that's why the statute also added a cap at the median assessed value, I think maybe to head off some of that as well for a municipality. So you're still providing extra benefit, but you're also capping it at the median assessed value. That's probably why they added that, I imagine, into the statute.
So we're gonna leave it on the agenda. We'll continue our discussion and take some action soon. Thanks, Danielle,
Thank you
for all your work
again.
on this. Appreciate you. All right, that concludes old business. We're gonna move on. Tax refund, sorry, Councilor Draco. We don't have any
We have
this
none.
week. We have none
Yeah,
this week, sorry.
I don't have it there.
Who's ready?
Sorry about that. We'll get some taxes back to folks next time. Item 9, minutes of previous meeting. Councilor Housing here, Deputy Mayor Rada, anything?
I have nothing to share.
I would, oh, you do?
Yeah.
Councilor Draco?
No, it was just, we talked about PACs and it was spelled, wherever you put a PAC, it was PAC rather than PACTS. if you can- When we were discussing, that's been the fire department.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. PAC, yeah.
Yes, the capital P, capital A, capital C.
Acronym, yeah. That's all right. All righty, then I would entertain a motion to approve the public hearing meetings for June 9th and the regular meeting minutes for June 9th with Councilor Draco's suggested changes.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Plord,
Second.
second by Councilor Gonzalez. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries 8-0. Councilor Hahn absent. All right, moving on to, we don't have any resignations or appointments. We'll move on to new business. The item on that is our EMS contract with AMR. This is pretty standard.
Yeah,
We do this
there's,
every year.
as I say, in the memo, the EMS committee met last week to review the proposed contract renewal with AMR, and no changes are proposed. That committee is perfectly satisfied with the work that AMR is doing on our behalf. So the recommendation is for council to approve a 3-year contract through June 30th of 2029.
Thank you. Very good. Any questions from council? Seeing none. All right, we will take action at our next meeting. That'll conclude new business. Moving on, item 12, town manager report. What do you got for us, Jonathan?
I've got a few things to bring you up to speed on. The first is earlier today, members of the master plan, town center master plan steering committee met to talk about potential uses for $2 million that we received from the bond commission. Kind of very interesting and thoughtful conversation. I think though there's some work that the planning team needs to do over the next few weeks. But I think what we'd like to do is first focus on finishing off some study work that drills down and ties up some of the loose ends from the Collier's report. So the two sort of main areas of focus for additional study would be on parking and traffic in the town center, and then on sort of branding and signage in the center. And the goal would be to have, rather than sort of just it be, another study on top of another study, the RFPs for those studies would ask the vendors to actually come up with engineered plans that we could take to a sign vendor or a marketing firm or some sort of traffic like a Tilcon to actually implement those recommendations. But regardless, I think the committee was really committed to having a transparent process for this, having public information meetings, getting all of the business owners in town center together to talk all these things out. So I think it's going to be a slow burn, but I think we have a good roadmap for how to start to spend down that money over the next, say, 8 to 10 months. We continue to kick the tires on locations for the potential emergency radio tower. Scott Charlo found a sort of a diamond in the rough location in an abandoned DOT right-of-way from when Cedar Street was relocated about 50 feet north in the early 1970s. It is a high point on Cedar Mountain, or not on Cedar Mountain, but on Cedar Street. That we actually didn't realize, but it looks like we own that land. So that could be a perfect place for that tower. A couple more sort of hoops we need to jump through, but I'm really positive about the direction where that's going. At the next meeting in July, Joe Salamone will be here and talking about that space assessment, space needs assessment. I think we talked about 3 or 4 months ago when we were going through the budget process. So look forward to that. We've already talked about the red light camera, but that process is moving forward. And I think we're gonna be in a position to award a contract on that. I'm just doing a couple little bits of due diligence, but I think Lauren is almost ready to send out a letter to the preferred firm. On the personnel side, I talked about it before, but obviously Karen Sear, the Board of Education, will be starting as our finance director a week from tomorrow. So we're very excited about that. We'll have a press release out hopefully sometime in the next few days. And then we have we have obviously the fire marshal position is now advertised, so hopefully we'll get some good candidates there. And there'll be another announcement that will go out tomorrow. I don't think it's about a department head sort of level. I don't think it's appropriate for me to say who it is, but I would encourage you to check the vacancy page tomorrow when the post goes out, and you'll understand that we'll have another poll, unfortunately, amongst our department heads. There is on the America 250 side, I guess on July 8th, which will be 2 Wednesdays from tomorrow, at 6 p.m. we'll do a ceremonial reading of the Declaration of Independence. I believe Deputy Mayor Rada, are you wearing your mayoral hat for that? Am I?
No, it's gonna be like 20 people.
That's gonna be
from
20
representative
people. Oh,
of
okay.
the
Okay.
community.
You just get to read the line.
So that's gonna be really neat. And I guess that was because it was in Connecticut at 6 o'clock on
It's all
July
over this
8th.
country, all over the
That's when
country.
we learned about something.
No, it's all over the country.
No, but what's the significance of July 8th?
I think
Oh,
it was
that's
July
when,
was the date at which.
Yeah,
the
July 4th, we
declaration was-
declared it, but by the time it got to the, written and out to the communities and whatever, it was
July.
too late because they were on horse.
Yeah, so.
So every community.
But actually, it's gonna probably be at 5:45.
Okay,
And we're gonna have, the police honor guard, the fire department honor guard, and
Someone
perhaps.
singing the national
Yeah, someone's
anthem.
singing the
Yeah.
national
We're gonna have a
anthem.
range of folks across the community, faith leaders, business
Yeah.
leaders, young people, veterans,
And
immigrants.
perhaps a little, reception afterwards.
yeah, so it's.
We will not be on horseback. We will not be on horseback. Okay.
But, and then get ready, buckle your seatbelts. Tomorrow summer camp starts. So town hall's gonna start to be swamped, but hopefully that goes well. We have a new camp director this year, Lizzie, and she's really excited about things starting off. And then last but not least, we'll have one more meeting before then, but extravaganza, mark your calendars, July 15th, July 18th. And I will be on vacation starting tomorrow morning. So, but Lauren is capably in charge for the next week and a half. That's all I got.
Councilor Floyd?
Thank you, Mayor. Lots going on.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Thank you, Jonathan, for that excellent update. I just want to mention that a couple different things. One, that I agree, I thought that the town center master plan meeting today, or committee, steering committee meeting today went very well, was very productive. For kind of getting the band back together for a very first meeting. I thought it was very productive. And I'm excited for what that public process is going to look like. And I appreciated that you stressed what we stressed in that meeting, which was that the study was great. We're glad we did the study. We're done with studies. We want something done. And that these supportive processes, whether it's with parking and traffic or for branding and marketing, that they're to create a product that we can then bring to the community and actually do something with. And thank God we have that $2 million that we can use to actually implement that process rather than just let it sit on a shelf. So I appreciate that. I'm excited to discuss the space needs assessment. I know that's been a long time coming. We appreciate your and staff's diligence in preparing that. And then the radio tower discussion, I appreciate that Councilor Draco and I have been able to be a part of those discussions for a few weeks now. And those have also been very productive in terms of being cognizant of open space needs, of conservation needs, of abutting property owners and their rights and their needs. And I've just thought that team has done a very exceptional job at integrating those considerations that we brought to the table. So I just appreciate your work, Jonathan. Thank you. Councilor Rodrigo.
Yeah, I have just a question or two on your report. I'm just curious on, and this is good. The fact that, I'm just curious, under police overtime, it's page 3, I believe. We budgeted like $5,600 and they only spent $700. Do you know why?
I don't off the top of my head. I could guess, but I'd just be doing guessing. So what we can do is take that to Chief Perry and ask him to follow up. With that.
And then, under Parks and Grounds, actually, they're almost 40,000 over in overtime. So if you can just fix.
Yep, absolutely. I'll get to the bottom of both of those.
And then, regarding like the space assessments, they were informed that the transportation garage where facilities department is currently housed will have to be vacated and returned to the Board of Ed. Can you explain that?
Well, I that may have been, we can drill back on that. I may have. We can talk more about that at the next meeting. I think that may have been stated a little too directly in that monthly report. Currently, the facilities department operates out of one of the bays within the school bus garage, on the other side of Garfield Street. It was intended as temporary kind of place. So there really isn't, and it is not sufficient for the facilities department's needs. We had discussions, very often, sort of informal discussions with Dr. Brummett about whether there's potential for expanding something into an additional bay there. And I think there was some pushback from the Board of Ed about that, because I think when this building was, this is obviously well before my time, when this building was constructed, that arrangement of the facilities operating out of that bay was intended as a temporary arrangement. And so we're kind of at the end of our leash with that. And so I think as part of what Joe and I have talked about, as part of his space needs analysis, I want him to highlight the fact that his guys, his crew doesn't really have a permanent home. So that's something that as we get into future CIPs, I want to make sure that it's on the council's radar of coming up with some kind of solution, a permanent solution for that.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, we'll move on to council liaison committee reports. Any updates from councilors? Council Floyd?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just share a few things that I attended the last Board of Education meeting and represented the council there. There was some discussion about some personnel issues at Patterson that I know a lot of parents were very concerned about. And I know that the board addressed those there and has been sending out communications to parents through the superintendent's office. So obviously that's not within our purview, but I encourage folks to just reach out to the superintendent's office and to the Board of Education who are addressing those questions. There was also discussion of reconciling their budget. Obviously, we delivered a budget to them after they had submitted their request to us. There was additional state investment that came to support education needs as well. And they reconciled that budget given the number that we provided them. They were also able to, with the number that this council was able to provide for them together with the state investment, to provide insurance to paraeducators starting in September. So that is excellent news. Obviously, I know we're all very supportive of our paraeducators receiving those long overdue benefits. And I'm very, very excited and proud that the Board of Education took that step to do that and to put that on the books. I also attended the Town Planning and Zoning Commission meeting where there was some introduction of a range of regulations related to the implementation of the housing bill, the omnibus housing bill that was passed by the legislature a little while back. I just encourage folks to review that presentation. I have a litany of notes. I would go through them, but folks should listen into that meeting for the very exhaustive, comprehensive discussion of each one of those regulations as they relate to open space and middle housing and a million other things. So very interesting, and I'm glad that TPC is taking that up. Just going to see anything else here that, as was mentioned, Councilor Nieves and I attended the Poll Worker Appreciation Day event that was held here in council chambers and put on by the registrars of voters. It was excellent to see those two individuals awarded with those well-deserved scholarships for their work. Certainly on behalf of the Fox family and Marie Fox's memory, it was very special to see that happen as well. I just want to shout out as well that Councilor Nieves and I also attended a tour of the school-based health center at Newington High School earlier this week. Obviously we were celebrating in part the $159,000 of state investment that our delegation secured to keep that health center active. But more importantly, it was just good to see the amazing work that happens there day in and day out to address mental health needs, physical needs, and the plans that they had to expand that service as well for more parents and more students to take advantage of it. So that was excellent. And I'll just make a very quick point to say a happy graduation to the class of 2026, of which my cousin Julian Baez is a part. I was really proud to celebrate him last night. But just congratulations to them. We wish them nothing but success. That's it.
Thank you, Councilor. Deputy Mayor Rada.
Yes, Councilor Budraco and I attended the Conservation Commission on June 16th. There was a moment of silence in memory of Philip Block, who has been or was instrumental in the work of conservation here in the community. I did not know him personally. I think Councilor Budraco, you could probably speak more to him than I can. But there was a request that was raised to plant a tree in his memory and also a plaque provided. That's, to be determined. There's further discussion on that. I think that is probably, it was a rather brief meeting. There was only one item on the business docket for them. We did talk about the radio tower and the access road, and I don't know if Jonathan would have anything further to say. There was, when it was raised, there was some concern on the commission regarding creating that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm
roadway and how that's going to shake out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, just briefly, I'm trying to arrange a meeting on site with a couple of key folks, talk about next steps, but maybe like potential cleanup. But dotting the i's on that one, but hopefully do that sometime this summer.
Okay. And then the other committee that I attended was the Board of Fire Commissioners. Anything to see their, they did acknowledge resignation of Fire Marshal DJ Zorden, resolution to appoint Assistant Fire Marshal John Hoffman to Acting Fire Marshal until permanent replacement has been hired.
And would it be, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but would it be appropriate, John, would you just like to stand up? This is
Congratulations.
I will defer a few minutes if you have anything that you'd like to say or speak to. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I'd just like to take a moment to say that Fire Marshal Zorden and I really worked hard on a transition plan over the couple of weeks. And right now the office is running very smooth. We're continuing to do the fine job that they're doing. So if you have any questions or concerns, want to learn more about the Marshal's office, please reach out, stop by our office anytime. We're happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so
and
much.
congratulations.
Thanks for stepping up.
Let me see, there was, the recommendation, there was an agreement, regarding the lease purchase agreement for, the apparatus, the ladder truck, that we had discussed at our last council meeting. Obviously, the fire department concurs. And I don't know if there's anything additional, I think that was, those are two of the highlights. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments from council? All righty, we're gonna move right along to public participation. Like to speak in public participation, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. You have 4 minutes to speak. If you are on Zoom, use the raise hand function. We'll alternate between in the room and over Zoom. We do have a couple on Zoom, so we'll go back and forth.
Andre Andreas, 76 Fenton Drive. I am curious to why this council is ignoring my two formal requests, one written, one verbal, to put a vote in honor of flying the straight pride flag. Over the last 3 years, I've communicated with members of this council regarding flying American or government flags only. However, I was informed that special interest flags such as the pride flag are inclusive to those who it represents and it must be flown. As I asked before, are flags that represent other special, other special interest groups considered? I was advised to attend a town council meeting and request that my flag of choice be put to a vote. I've heard many residents tonight express concerns about potential lawsuits. And now I'm understanding the town attorney is advising the council that they must address the issue of not having a flag policy due to potential litigation. Very telling. To hear members of the council deflect the importance of the flag policy because we have other issues is also telling. Because when it came to the pride flag, the majority was very enthusiastic. A situation where my request is being ignored could have been avoided if we had a policy set in place that outlined the process to request again any flag guidelines. It is clear the council majority is choosing to violate my civil rights. Because there is no flag policy, you have chosen to ignore me because you simply do not like my request. I have followed the process that was recommended and I'm still being disregarded. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andre.
All right, we're gonna go to one on Zoom, and then whoever's next in the room wanna come on up, we'll go to you next. Go right ahead.
Albuno, 327 Walt Avenue. First, I'd like to say thank you for reading my letter into the record earlier in the meeting, as I was able to attend. I will say that, just to give you a history, the rules of procedure of the town council, when the Republicans were in the super minority many years ago, prior to this super minority, we were shut out of adding items to the agenda very frequently, and we felt powerless. When we did take the supermajority that you now have, Mr. Trister and the rest of the council, we changed those rules of procedure so that any counselor was able to add an agenda item so that no one on that council would feel powerless. So to hear tonight, Counselor Bedrejko saying that she's being ignored about putting something on the agenda, that's really discouraging. That was changed for a reason so everyone would have a voice. And it was done when we had the majority, not now that we're in the minority, we're worried about it, or we were worried about everyone having a voice. So I really do hope that you heed what she said earlier and do honor her request to add the flag policy to the agenda so that it can be discussed as in terms of going to a committee. I was taken aback, Counselor Plord, quite frankly, mostly by your comments, trying to belittle Counselor Bedrejko, saying that the urgency of the matter is somehow less than others. Counselor Bedrejko did her duty as an elected member of that council. You heard at least 6 members of the public tonight, and now 7 because Mr. Andreas is there, talking about the need to protect the town of Newington from potential lawsuits. It's come up a time and time again in other towns and other municipalities. And for you to be ignoring that request and suggesting that it's not urgent is shameful. Counselor Bedrejko mentioned a legal opinion. Why hasn't it been shared? I would love to hear it. And I would love to know what you guys are trying to hide if you're not bringing this forward and not viewing this as urgent. In addition to that, earlier it was mentioned by another member of the public that businesses are struggling and that businesses are going, that are leaving our town. And it was mentioned that, well, the tax burden shifted to residences. That may be true in this budget cycle, but where do you think those property owners and those business owners have to make up their money? They have to make up their money somewhere. They're making it up by increasing rents to local businesses or businesses themselves by raising their prices and maybe not getting the same amount of business. It is a downward spiral when taxes go up. And I hope you take that into consideration because I feel like the comments made earlier about, oh, well, it was shifted to the residences. That's just not that's not a very smart comment to make. And residents coming out for relief, once their bills come out on July 1st, they're not going to be coming out for relief. They're going to be coming out angry because our tax property bills are going up tremendously and people are going to be mad. And at that point, it's too late. The mill rate was set, the budget has been passed, and the tax bills are out. There's not much people can do. There is an appeals process, I know, an assessment appeals. I think the timeline for that has already passed, and I may be wrong on that, and you can correct me if I am. But the time has passed for that. So they may be coming to your table angry, but there's not going to be much that you can do at this point. It won't be until next budget season that you can actually do something. I really hope that the demeanor toward Counselor Bedrejko improves at that table, because there were several times tonight where it was suggested that she somehow cared less or cared about the wrong things. And that's unfortunate. Her voice needs to be heard. She is a seasoned member of that council, has a lot of years behind her and a lot of experience that you all could learn from. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. We'll go to the room now. If anyone come on up. You gotta follow that.
Read my phone and get
Yeah.
lost. Okay. Dana Havens, 113 Stoddard Avenue. Okay, perhaps I tried to put a little too much information in that short amount of time. So AJ, you did say, and I just pulled it off the transcript from YouTube. As it stands right now, I don't think it's necessary to host a whole meeting for 10 minutes to vote on something, and then we can't take action on it for an undisclosed period of time. What I've been saying is that your committee continuing to meet and decide on options provided to you by Weston and Sampson only benefits the town for reasons I, Rose, and others have stated. Plus, that undisclosed period of time could come very shortly should one of the catastrophic failures we're warned of by the previous committee members and PAC flyers come to fruition. And to reiterate, there is no cost for your committee to continue to meet and to plan, and no real reason to stop. Having other items on your plate is not good enough. And I will say that hearing members of this council say, not regarding the pool, but the other issue, that we have other things to deal with rather than wasting our time on, like, say, the flag policy, really disappointed me. You were voted in to do what needs to be done. If your meetings have to run a little bit longer, or you have to have a few extra meetings, oh well, that's what you were elected for. That's what you signed up for. It's what you're obligated to do for our town. And a bit off topic, but how can you award a contract to the red light camera if you haven't had the public hearings about it yet? And that's it.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Dana. We got one on Zoom, and then we'll go to you, Jacob.
You got it.
Go right ahead, Miss Lyons.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I find it very ironic in listening to the comments being made tonight by Dana, myself, and Colleen that we, the ones that voted no on the last referendum regarding the pool, and were labeled fringe radicals, are the ones that are pushing to get the pool committee to keep meeting. I just boggles my mind. Where are the people from that PAC, Newington Aquatics United, that had such concerns that they were throwing accusations at the no side, that they're not showing up and asking that the pool situation be resolved? That being said, kind of ironic too that former Mayor Del Buono would bring to the attention that something hasn't been able to be put onto the agenda, when I watched for at least a year and a half Mitch Page trying to get the pool brought onto the agenda. He was new. He didn't know how to do it, in my opinion, and it could have been a done deal, and we would have had either one or two new pools. But that being said, I hope you can resolve it one way or the other, and that it doesn't turn into another political football like it has been for the last 10 years. Talking about public participation, I found it interesting as well that former Mayor Del Buono and her husband's letters were read into the record. I've been asking for a couple of years now that some clarity be made in the rules of procedure as to when when they are read into the record and when they are attached to the minutes. I know there was a meeting in January, and that was one of the subjects that was brought up, and that it was going to be discussed and clarified. And I know it was budget season and things like that, but I'm hoping that they will be meeting at least one more time and come up with some things that need to be clarified in the rules of procedure, so I don't have to keep asking the same question over and over. The Emergency Operations Center, I know this isn't the time for any answers, but I was just curious about the status of that and if anybody or any department has been picked to go over to that building. That being said, Mr. Altschul, please have a nice vacation. Don't even tune in. Don't look at your emails. Just block us all out, because it's really better for your mental health if you don't check your emails like I know you've done over the weekends when I've written to you. So enjoy your vacation. Thank you all.
Thanks, Rose.
Thank you, Rose. Appreciate you. All right, go right ahead, sir.
Jacob Knowlton, 10 Hillside Street. I just came up to clarify. I apologize if I used the word silly and that offended you. I wasn't trying to demean your interests at all. What I was trying to say is express as a citizen and as a voter that in terms of how I vote, in terms of what I care about, when my house is flooded and groceries, rent, and taxes are pulling out my pocket, flags ain't my priority. So with that being said, I agree with you. I agree with getting the job done and making a flag policy. I know we have other priorities, as I expressed. Those are my same priorities to look at, especially infrastructure. But it's a fairly easy job. I mean, taking a step out of Connecticut, I feel like a lot of times folks in Connecticut only work here in our little bubble. There are so many flag policies that you could just take a look at, you think might be appropriate, discuss them, and apply something fairly easy, you know? It's well known that towns and other spaces enjoy to celebrate cultural heritages, and sometimes you got to fundraise for something, you know? So to be so restrictive on flags, I don't think is an appropriate policy. So I have to agree with AJ. Again, I'll reiterate, I don't think the right move is to be restrictive, but when this comes around and we decide to get the job done together, I'm happy to share those opinions then. But again, didn't mean to demean you, and I partially agree with you. So thank you all.
Thank you. One online. Lewis, go right ahead.
Yes, I'm Lewis from 482 Churchill Drive. Just wanted to clarify some of the stuff you guys have been saying. So I don't know what type of cameras they were set up. I go walking on the streets quite often. So I try to get exercise walking the streets in Newington. So I'm very familiar with a lot of this stuff. There was some type of new camera right where they're doing the tree work behind Willard and Cedar. So I don't know what type of cameras those are. Maybe they're flock cameras or something that have been installed there, which is another thing that I really do not support. I've heard issues with them being not secured and being on Amazon's web services that is not secure as a government website is. So some concerns there. I just wanted to reiterate again, I hear where they're saying the tax burden is on the residents, like other people have mentioned. If the rents go up for landlords, it's going to go down to the tenants, just like businesses. When their rents go up or when their expenses go up, it goes to the consumer. And this is what's the evolution of basically of why everything is so expensive right now. Our cost of living is just a snowball of everything increasing. And unless somebody stops the increases, the snowball is not going to stop until it gets to somewhere where we don't want to be. The other thing too is that with I know what you are talking about with the red light cameras in Weathersfield, and I know JT, you were talking about that you don't see that the incidences of accidents go up in those areas. The T-bone accidents do reduce, but the rear end accidents do go up. It's an easy Google search, and the stuff that I found is New York, Suffolk County. And they've noticed that it went up, end accidents went up 50%, especially when the weather conditions were not optimal. So, yeah, so, I used to work in automotive, and I'll tell you right now, physics is physics. If it's raining or snowing outside and you're trying to have people stop on a dime, it's not going to happen. And even for police officers, they might have all the training in the world, they might have all the equipment in the world. Physics is going to win. If you go too fast for the conditions, there's going to be an accident. So that's also why I try to um, basically taught that the police department should also be following the speed limits too, because it's no matter how much training you have, if car going at a certain speed is always going, physics will always win, no matter what. So that's all I wanted to mention. And I do thank you for all the comments that you did give me feedback on, from that you are listening to me, my concerns. So I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room or over Zoom like to speak in public participation? Now, forever hold your peace. All right. All right, we're gonna move on to remarks by counselors. Any comments from council? Counselor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make one comment in response to Ms. Del Buono's points. I was not intending to belittle Silver Draco, who's my friend, who I built a close relationship with over years, and certainly Councilor Draco, if you feel like he's doing that, I apologize profusely. I was merely just referring to the language that the former mayor and her council crafted in that policy in council rules of procedure. I'm just going to read that just for folks' cognizance. Oh, and you read a portion of this, but member of the town council will have an item placed on the next agenda or future agenda by contacting the town manager, majority or minority leader of the town council, or one of their designees prior to the agenda setting meeting or 7 days in advance of the council meeting date. Items brought forward will be considered at the next agenda setting meeting by the councilors present. Items will be included in the agenda for the next meeting by a consensus of the councilors present at the agenda setting meeting based on appropriateness, relevance, and priority. And so again, myself as a single counselor, together with the mayor representing our caucus, yourself as a counselor representing your caucus, we may have competing priorities. That doesn't mean that we dismiss the importance of having that conversation. As was, I think, stated, when our side was in the minority, there may have been things that we wanted to get onto the agenda, but those counselors present didn't, through the consensus offered in those rules, feel that those things were a priority, which is their right to do. And so, again, I will echo what's in our rules and say that I think it's important we have that conversation. And that's what I said in agenda setting, that I think we can continue to have this conversation, sure, at the leadership level, meaning in agenda setting as to when it gets placed on the agenda and what it looks like. But that's not to say that it never gets placed on the agenda. It just is to say that the consensus of councilors present thought that there were other priorities much more befitting of a meeting at this time. I still feel that way, and I stand by it 100%.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Tignakis?
Yes, to Mr. Andrea, I agree with you. I don't think that we should ignore your request. I think that at some point we should take a formal vote on his request. Forgive me, I'm making an assumption here, but I believe you're Republican. So I would definitely reach out to Councilor Petracco. So during those agenda setting meetings, she could advocate to have that vote onto one of our official meetings. And I think that we should take his request seriously and have a vote. As far as Ms. Del Buono's comments, I was just stating a factual thing that happened with our taxes. I don't understand the criticism that came along with that, but I was just trying to clarify an economic happening that had happened in our town. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Petracco?
Yes, I just want to clarify that my doggedness in continuing to pursue a flag policy was amplified by the fact that a guidance from our attorney, our town council, our council, legal
Corporation
advisor,
counsel.
whatever, thank you very much, was requested and was returned And it was very clear that the town should adopt a flag policy. By not having a policy in place, we risk a lawsuit from groups who argue the First Amendment rights are being abridged by not being able to fly their own flags. So that is where my priority is coming from, and the fact that my initial concerns and gut feeling that we can be opening ourselves to liability was confirmed through guidance or advice received through our the council. So that's where I was coming from. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other remarks from council? All right, seeing none. We'll move on to informational items. I don't think there is any. I just want to reiterate what Counselor Ford said earlier and congratulate the class of 2026. I will be there next year. I have a class of 2027 and I hope I don't get there. I hope she stays in school forever and never leaves my home. But I'm proud of all the seniors who graduated and proud of the rising seniors coming in. Go Nor'easters. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
For Council Flores, second by Council Gonzalez. Any discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries unanimously. Motion carries 8-0. Councilor Das absent. We're adjourned 9:49 p.m. There we go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.